Greetings members, something a little bit different for you today. So we've got fancy new lights and a camera, and we're in like a different setup, and you'll see more of that in a kind of pre-campaign diary that's coming out later this week, sometime whenever this comes out. But what I want to do today is I've been really inspired by one of my favorite YouTubers, Trent from Miscast, recently, who's made a second channel where he makes a vlog every day, and the first day that he doesn't make a vlog, he's going to delete the channel and all of the videos. And watching his imperfect creativity throughout this last 30 days that he's been doing this vlog has been so inspiring to me, as someone that so often finds themselves going, no, I won't start this thing because I don't have enough time to make it perfect, so why bother starting it? Watching him just make every day, and it's never perfect, but it's always creative and it's always inspiring, has inspired me to actually pick up the camera and start recording again after God knows how long. So what I want to do is I want to start a little irregular series, because I do not have the health capacity to do this every damn day. As much as I would love to, I think I would get so much creative juice from doing this every day, but I do not have the health capacity at the moment. It's something that I would love to do in the future though. But what I want to do is I want to start like a little vlog conversation series where I'm going to talk about something, and then I want you to comment, and I want you to ask questions, and then I want to take your comments and questions and I want to talk about them, and I want a back and forth. I want a conversation through the lens between you and I, because I haven't posted in ages. I have been very ill and I've been feeling very isolated, and this is going to help me feel connected to all of you lovely members, and it's also a way for me to express some creativity. And over the course of this, I'm sure you'll see me like get more experimental with what we're doing shot wise and the format of it. So let's dive in. Today I want to kick things off by talking a little bit about D&D 2024 versus D&D 2014, based on the small amount of experience I have in actual play with it. When we were running the first session of the new campaign, we got about halfway through, and the Warlock player, Seamus, had taken heaps of damage. He was almost dead, and he'd been healed, and then he'd taken a whole bunch of damage. He took so much damage that night, bless him. And after the combat, the cleric came up and was like, oh, I'll heal you. And then they remembered they had the healer feat, and the healer feat allows you to heal someone using the healing kit, and they can spend their hit dice outside of a short rest. And I thought that is such an improvement on the way the healer feat used to work, which was just, it would allow you to use your healer's kit to stabilize a dying creature. Actually allowing the healer to be the kind of person that can actually heal someone and do it outside of combat and do it in a non-magical way, so much better for the healer fantasy, and so much better for party composition, because you don't need to have a cleric. You can have someone with a healer feat, and as you level up, you get much more flexibility in terms of how you can heal people. And I thought I was immediately, I was like, oh, I think I'm really, really gonna like the 2024 rules with this direction. And playing with hit dice is something that I really enjoy. It's something that I'm excited to see the Defiler Sorcerer in the new Unearthed Arcana plays around with. They can burn their own hit dice to give themselves like better spells, or empower their spells and change their spells. Or they can try and burn other creatures' hit dice and siphon their lives to empower themselves. And that's such a cool concept, because monster hit dice is just not something that is ever interacted with. Every monster has hit dice in how you calculate what their HP is. You usually start by calculating what the ballpark HP you want is, and then you reverse engineer how many hit dice that would need based on the size of the creature and their constitution score to get you close to the number that you actually want. It's a really weird system for doing it, but every monster has hit dice, but they're never interacted with, other than maybe the sleep spell, the old sleep spell. I can't remember if that was hit points or hit dice. But I think it's so interesting to see the designers start exploring this hit dice space and start seeing like more exploration of what you can do within the 5th edition system. And I really, really dig it. I'm really excited to see how we get along with D&D 2024 as we go through this new campaign. I think that it's going to be... I have 2 predictions. One, I think for the most part, I'm going to really enjoy the system and running the system more than 2014 because it's slightly more codified, but not overly codified like Pathfinder 2nd edition was. My other prediction is the players are going to consistently forget their weapon masteries because they forgot it in the first session, and I don't think that they will ever consistently remember weapon masteries. I personally think weapon masteries should have been a critical effect so that it's when you crit you can do this thing, because doing it all the time, I think if they did remember, I think it would slow down play. I suspected before we started that they would forget about weapon masteries, and they have so far. I will remind them at the start of next session. Don't forget, those of you that got weapon masteries can use weapon masteries, but I fully expect at least 1 or 2 of the players that have weapon masteries to not bother using them for the majority of play. And I don't think it'll make a blind bit of difference, to be honest. I think in hindsight, the kind of, marshals need more options thing is kind of overblown. Because most of the time, even in a world where you've got tons of options, like Pathfinder 2nd edition, very quickly the players find out what their specific optimal set of options are, and then they just use those. So yeah, your options might look different to your fellow players' options, and that is good, and that in of itself is great. But you still end up in a situation where round to round each player is doing the same thing, and I think that is just kind of part of player psychology. You'll almost always end up doing the same thing within the mechanics. I think that narrative focused games, narrative forward games with more of a narrative flow to them, handle this a little bit better because you as the game master have more scope within your ability to narrate, to be able to be like, cool, what are you doing within the story, and then figure out what the mechanics of that are afterwards. And a lot of narrative forward games are more like broad in their rules expression. So like a player might be like, right, okay, I want to smash a bottle over this guy's head to like blind him, and then I want to like jab him or do something. In D&D, that might be like, it's an improvised weapon. You specifically got to use an improvised weapon, which isn't as good as your great axe, so you'll just use your great axe. Whereas in a system like a Monster of the Week, that would just be kick some ass. And kick some ass would just be however you kick the ass. And the outcome is going to be based on the roll. Or in something like my work in progress sci-fi game, Project Cobalt, that would be a combat roll. And the specifics of what you're doing in that combat roll wouldn't necessarily matter. Sometimes you'll be using a weapon that does specific damage, that might matter. But it's going to be a combat roll, and you make your roll, and if you succeed, you get to do the thing. And the narrative of what you're doing doesn't matter as much as the success or failure, or the mechanics, I should say. The mechanics don't matter as much as the narrative and the success or failure and what you are doing at the table in that moment. So yeah, I'm excited to see where D&D 2024 takes us in this campaign. I've got very high hopes, but given that this is the first of these little like fireside chats, throw any comments you have, any questions that you have. I really want, give me something to latch onto. Give me something that I can waffle about for 5 to 6 minutes, and then you can ask further questions, and let's open that dialogue up a bit, because like I say, I have been going stir crazy, and I would love to have some more of that interaction with you, especially when I've not been well enough to do the live streams, which is where I usually get that from. So this feels like a lower pressure way for me to do that. So I would very much appreciate it. Throw the comments down and give me something to respond to. And until next time, happy gaming.